Okay, so welcome back, and this is just a quick go with my Brushos, and I'm just basically practicing here. All I've done on a piece of watercolour card, I've stamped a couple of trees, a little scene, using StazOn. So that's there ready to go, and I'm going to be using moss green and yellow ochre, not sure how to say that. Anyway, you don't need much of the Brushos, so I'm just going to sprinkle little bits on, not too much. So that's the yellow ochre, no, that one was the moss green. And now just a couple of little bits of the yellow ochre. Okay, so you just sprinkle little bits on and then just gently mist with, this is just plain water. And you can see that that just activates the Brushos, and then you can just, I mean, you can put as much or as little water on as you like. I mean, I think that is basically enough to give this autumn scene. You know, the trees look fine there's enough on, I think. If you get a little bit of pooling like this at the edge of the card, just dab very gently. Very, very gently, just to soak up that little bit of excess water. There we go. And we can leave that one to one side and just clean up this bit. And we'll have a go at another one. Okay, so I'm a particular big fan of the autumn colours. I prefer autumn colours to any kind of other, and particularly the Canadian sort of trees that you see, you know, with the red, beautiful red colours in the trees. So I'm just going to use, on this one I'm going to use a little bit of burnt sienna and a little bit of rose red. And we'll see how that turns out. Okay, so just a little sprinkling of the burnt sienna first, just little bits. You really don't need much with the Brushos. And this one, the rose red, we'll just put some little bits of this in. And we'll see how that turns out. So again, just a little spritz of water, keep those out of the way, and we'll see how this turns out. Hope you can see that there. Very gently at first until you can see that it's going where you want it to go. Okay, we'll just leave that one, because I just think those kind of beautiful Canadian type trees are they're just stunning. So we'll leave that one to dry. So I'm going to try and just add a little bit more green into this one. So I'm just going to sprinkle it there, and this one is the lime green. Just pop these tops back in, and just a little spray again. And we'll pop a little bit into this other tree. Again, not too much, you really don't need a lot of these at all, just tiny little shakes of the powder. and then just let that settle. And now that the red one that I did is nearly dry, I'm going to try and add a little bit of yellowy tones, yellow orange type tones. So I've got this the Sandstone one, and so I'm just going to just sprinkle a tiny bit into the middle of the trees, and we'll see how that takes when we spray it with water. There we go, we've got some nice little orangey tones coming out at the bottom. You really don't want to go too fast on these Brushos, because they will just spread out and do what they want to do. So just take it little bits at a time and see how you go. And again, if you're not happy with the sort of where it's starting to pool, all the water's starting to pool, just very, very lightly pop a bit of kitchen roll in and just dab a little bit, just to soak up the real excess. But very, very lightly, don't press too hard. It'll just soak up into the kitchen roll. And then we can just leave that one to dry as well. So we've got those two we're going to leave to dry. These are just some of the ones that I was playing with last week when I was making ATCs for Gemma, the crafty little gem. And so I just wanted to see what it would be like just to stamp over them now and to try and make something with them. Okay, so again I'm just stamping with the stays on and just trying to see what would be a nice angle and just stamping down. To make sure it's well stamped in. So I mean, you can just play around with your Brushos and cut them down into, you know, small pieces, sort of whatever size pieces you like, A2, A3, well, yeah, just cut them down to whatever you like to use, your card size. And then you can see that that is like that. Now you can cut that down again so that it's that way, and it could just look like a bolt of lightning. Okay. Okay, so with the Brushos, because they are essentially a watercolour, you can actually come in and just move things around. They'll reactivate with a wet brush, and you can just brush out the colour, just move it away to where you want it to go, and just spread that colour around a little bit more. Okay. There we go, so you can just get a little bit more of the orange into the background behind the tree, and it'll just move with the brush. I mean, I'm still pretty much learning with these myself, but I mean, you know, you can play about with them and you know, see what you can do with them. Just have a go. They're just lovely colours. And I'll show you just on a without any kind of stamped image on. I'll show you the explosion of colour that you can get. So I'm just pre-wetting this card, just giving it a few sprays. And let's try one we haven't looked at yet. Terracotta. We'll have a look at Terracotta, see what that does. And with your paper that's already pre-wet, just sprinkle, and you can see that it just explodes with colour and will just go where it wants to go. And you don't want to use too many different colours of this in one go, just because with them being watercolours they could end up, you know, getting a little bit muddy. Let's have a look, what else have we not used? Use that, we've used the rose red. Let's try the olive green. Okay, and you just sprinkle a little bit. And you can make all kinds of watercolour backgrounds, just, you know, whatever you want them to be. They will just have, what I've done is just put a little hole in the top of the cap just so that it just sprinkles out a small amount at a time. But as soon as you sprinkle some on, you'll see it just bursts with colour. I'll just pop that back in, and then if you wanted to, just protect those over there, just give another little spray and it will just, again, it will just spread out and do what it wants to do. And you can just keep it like that. I mean, you know, fireworks, you know, you can use that for sort of any kind of birthday card or Happy New Year card. Anything that you want, basically. And again, where it's pooling at the bottom, if you don't want that, just very lightly with the edge of your piece of kitchen roll, trying to make it so that you can see it without my fat hands in the way, just very lightly dab it, and it will just find its own way up onto the kitchen towel. Will just absorb it and take away just some of that excess water. But don't press too much on it, just let it do its own thing. And you just have all kinds of vibrant coloured backgrounds. Okay, so just by way of a bit more dabbling, I've got this Mod Podge, which is the sparkle one, and it gives like an iridescent sparkle to your paper. So what I'm going to do is just go over this just to seal the watercolour and to get some iridescent sparkle on the whole thing. And I've cut it down to 4 by 4 so that I can use it as a little, just a little greetings card for some occasion. So just paint over with the Mod Podge just to act as a sealer, as I say. And because it's water based, it may drag a little bit of colour, so just be as quick as you can and just go over it and then leave it to dry, and we'll see what comes out. So we'll just put that to one side and I'll come back when it's dried and show you what it looks like. Okay, so these are the 3 cards that I've made today, just from playing about with the Brushos. I've done this one, which is like an autumn Thanksgiving kind of card, just with the colours and a little sentiment, and so that's just a little card I've made for there. This one is obviously the Canadian trees, as I like to think of them, and again just a little sentiment. So, you know, they're quite straightforward cards. And then this one that's just a bit more of like an explosion of colour that I've made, and I don't know if you can see, I've embossed with silver embossing powder on the happy word, which goes right across the card, and there's put birthday underneath, and hope you can see that, the emboss there. So that's what I've done today with the Brushos. I will be doing a lot more with the Brushos, and I've also got some of the Sprinklet, but I'm not quite sure how to use those yet, so as soon as I do I'll start using those as well. These two I actually covered in the Mod Podge, which has like an iridescent kind of colour to it, so you can see that sparkling, and the same with this one. This one I didn't do that, I just wanted to leave it plain with the embossing powder on there. So that's what I've been up to today with the Brushos, and I will be doing a few more sort of videos with using the Brushos. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, bye bye.